Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. Got an interesting one today, talking about MyPillow Nazi Lindell and all the stupid stuff he's up to right now. By the way, on the right, this is Hank Kunneman. I had to freeze frame on this. He's got a beautiful smile, doesn't he? Let's really zoom in on that bad boy. Look at that smile. What a nice smile. Anyway, I don't know if you guys heard, Mike Lindell posted something to his Twitter account. Let me just find it. I didn't intend to talk about this, but why not? Hang on. Where is it? It's right here. This is a post from Mike Lindell. It says, "Sleep like a dream with our standard MyPillow for just $14.88. $14.88. Use promo code R277 to snag this deal and wake up feeling refreshed every morning. Don't miss out on the ultimate comfort upgrade. Get yours today." What does R277 mean exactly? It's a Utah bill about school segregation, basically. And of course, I'm sure everybody here knows 1488 is just a clear dog whistle to Hitler. About the best known one out there, right? 14 meaning the 14 words, something about blood and soil, and I don't remember what it all is now. And 88 meaning HH, because it's the eighth letter in the alphabet, H is. So HH, Heil Hitler, you know? What a weird thing for him to put up there. One coincidence, like having $14 as the amount, I can forgive. Two coincidences, 1488, that's pretty hard. And then putting R277 in the, like as a promo code, come on. It's clear as day, right? Anyway, yeah, I want to listen to Mike Lindell talk about how people are too brainwashed and it's a problem and we need to fix it by sending Christians to the campuses to brainwash them the other direction. While we listen to these people, by the way, this is Flashpoint. It's on Kenneth Copeland's TV network, the Victory Channel. While we listen to them, we're going to play some Link's Awakening for the Nintendo Switch, the remake. So yeah, let's give this a listen and see what they have to say, shall we?
Yeah, great to have you. Well, I have a special guest today, the one and the only Mike Lindell. Hello, Mike. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Gene, thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's go to some. Is Rick Green available now? I see his face. Hey, Rick, good to have you.
Hey, guys.
Where are you? You're not at home.
You know how they say if you're at a table with a Nazi, if four people are sitting at a table with one Nazi, then there are four Nazis at the table. What if four Nazis are sitting at a table with just them? What's the calculation then?
You're somewhere else. Where are you today?
I'm at the campus, the Patriot Academy campus, in the George Whitfield committee room. So we haven't built our studio yet. So this is the best I can do for you right now, Gene, but we're building the studios.
Yeah, so he runs, Rick Green, he runs Patriot Academy, and it's this basically like a propaganda distribution thing where they talk about how God loves Trump and he's the most important person in U.S. politics and who knows how long, and they write school curriculums for children and all kinds of crazy stuff. It's bad.
So it'll look nice in a few months.
Well, it's coming along, and I need to come see the whole facility. In fact, we need to do a flashpoint down there is what we need to do.
This is like one of those PragerU things. How can they call themselves a university, even implied, without actually being a university, you know? Prager University, Patriot Academy. Shouldn't that be illegal?
Do before it gets too cold.
I love it.
Yeah, it'd be great. All right, let me show you this picture right here. Thousands of students attend a Turning Point USA event at Penn State. Now, this is from Charlie Kirk. He posts that. But look at the picture. Look at how many people are really there. This is a staggering amount. Do we have the picture? There it is. You see, now look, what do you notice there, Rick Green? You notice a lot of red.
Was that like 500 people or something? I don't have any idea. Yeah, I mean, Charlie Kirk is a gigantic media figure. You know, I brought in 50 people alone, like just me, for an event one time in Lincoln, Nebraska, like years ago. I brought in, when I was doing Faithless Forum with like Thomas Westbrook and Drew McCoy, we brought in like 200 something people, just, us few. Charlie Kirk is gigantic, okay? He knows Donald Trump. Of course he's going to bring in like 500. That's honestly kind of small considering how influential he is.
And hats at a college campus.
I love it.
It's just outstanding. They gave away all their hats. You know, they're MAGA. You can't tell me things aren't turning. What does that say to you?
They're not. They're not turning for Donald Trump. You have any idea how unpopular this guy is? He loves to make it look like he's super, super popular. It's like kind of his brand, you know? When Trump, like, I don't like getting into politics heavily. This isn't really about politics exactly. It's more about religion. However, when Trump was running for president the first time around, 2016, nobody knew him yet. It was like some of his very first rallies or whatever. And he had people standing out on the sidewalk paying others to come in and like watch his rally or whatever, paying them $50 each to come sit down. And honestly, his rallies really are not that popular anymore. Certainly not as popular as Kamala Harris's, but okay.
You, Rick, when you see that amount of hats showing up at a Penn State event?
Well, and you know, Gene, we've talked about this because we're kind of tip of the spear on this. We see the elite of the next generation, the leaders of the next generation at Patriot Academy, and we've seen them turning to saying, hey, I want to make a difference. I want to be involved. And now you're seeing the masses at these college campuses saying, hey, we want to do something that matters. We want to be involved in turning our country around. So all the people that have been just dissing on the youth of the next generation and saying they're all lost, there's no hope, all that, they just haven't seen what we've been seeing at Flashpoint and Patriot Academy and our different organizations. And what Charlie's been doing with Turning Point's been absolutely incredible. And there you see the evidence of it, man. That should give people a lot of hope.
Yeah, Charlie Kirk is just a propagandist, plain and simple. It's disgusting, honestly.
This post, he writes, Penn State, some of the best energy so far on our You're Being Brainwashed campus tour. 1,500 student signups and 350 voter registrations. Mike Lindell, I'll let you speak into that. I mean, of course, Turning Point does great work, but when we start to see this sort of turnover in our college campuses, that's a good sign.
Did you guys see what happened just now? I was right over top of it. Wow, that's messed up.
Don't you think?
Absolutely. It's, you know, you go back to just a few years ago when everybody was so brainwashed. I like his campaign slogan, you know, they're all being brainwashed, and they have been for a long, long time.
Mike Lindell schooling us on being brainwashed.
But
well, he's he's the expert, I guess, right?
Combination of what Charlie's doing there and people, students and all people, with the destruction of our country and everything that's going on, people's eyes are getting open, and it's starting on the colleges, and you're getting that far. Think of what the rest of the country, their eyes, I see it all the time. Like I was in Chicago, you know, a couple of weeks ago at the Democrat convention. You've seen it all over there, that they were turning to our mega movement and to see through the brainwashing of the media and the narrative. And people that were kind of in the middle of everything, they're being braver now because numbers bring more numbers. They're going, hey, I was always that way. I'll bet you if you talk to most of these students, they were always that way. They just didn't want to speak out. They were afraid.
They're afraid. Trump supporters are afraid of blowback, really? To my recollection, Trump supporters are the loudest, most obnoxious people on planet Earth, right? Is it just me?
I believe you're right. All right, well, you know, there's a lot of endorsements that you want to get, but there's none quite like this one. Look at what President Trump got. Watch.
Vote for Grandpa.
Oh. Thank you, Susan.
Okay, that's kind of blatantly pandering a little, isn't it? Whatever. Okay, fine.
Thank you, honey. Great job. So cute. Oh, he doesn't want to get off the stage. Oh, wow. Look at that. He's got the gene.
You notice Trump's behind bulletproof glass. Can't blame him for that one.
Thank you. Thank you, Luke. You know, I said, say MAGA. I whispered into his ear, so cute. I said, say MAGA. He said, vote for Grandpa. He didn't care what I said. And that was actually much better, right? That was much better. Thanks, Luke.
All right, so Pastor Hank, vote for Grandpa. I mean, I don't care who he gets to endorse him. That one will probably go very far and wide.
Oh my God, I remember this stupid seashell, man. This one was the biggest pain imaginable to get before. I played this very recently, and it's just a nightmare to get this seashell. One more try, and then I'm done.
Well, you know what I noticed from the previous clip with Charlie Kirk and then this one is the young. And it's amazing to me. By the way, Mike, I think that they probably had MyPillow slippers on. If you zoomed into the picture, you might have seen it.
These people are so cringy.
Great slippers. But here's the thing. I own several pair, but I think what's
Okay.
amazing to me is it's prophetic. Here's why. The enemy only attacks what he is threatened by. Pastor Gene, think about it. And those of you that are watching, how much the kids have been exploited. They've been indoctrinated in our colleges. And I think God is sending.
I can't let that slide, man. I'm sorry. No, kids are not being indoctrinated anywhere except for churches. Colleges are not indoctrinating kids, okay? They're teaching kids things. I know that bothers these people a lot, but that's what it is.
A message to us. Watch the young, because when you see the young arise, it's a sign that God is turning something for this current generation and for the next generation. Lastly, look.
You know, this guy talks so much about children being indoctrinated. He created like this, what do you call it? Like a comic book series. It's called, what the hell is it called? Zepto? I think, yeah, Zepto. Captain Zepto? Yeah, that's it. For children. It's a cartoon for children about Jesus and stuff, and about Donald Trump and how great he is. Seriously, I'm not joking.
Well, not too far away. A planet was about to feel the fury of...
Yeah, so I've covered this at length on my channel if you want to see it. But bottom line is that it's indoctrination for kids to turn them into Trump-supporting, Bible-thumping nutcases, basically. Now, tell me more about how the kids are being indoctrinated, Hank.
Look at the Bible.
You know, look, the thing is, one more thing, I'm sorry. I understand that it doesn't matter what Hank's doing. We're talking about what the left is doing, right? Except the left isn't doing that. It's not happening. This isn't like a, God, there's a fallacy for this. What's the fallacy called? It's not a no you fallacy. There's a tu quoque. It's not a no you tu quoque fallacy. Because it's not happening on the other side. His complaints are fictitious.
Because when you see the young arise, it's a sign that God is turning something for this current generation and for the next generation. Lastly, look at the Bible. How many times God used a young person to absolutely make something that was a cultural change or a change in the nation?
Dude, I hate this claw game.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. How about David, who absolutely stood in a time and said, is there not a cause, and took the head of Goliath off and liberated a nation? I think that's what we just saw, whether it be the grandson or all of those people that are at the campus.
Now, Rick Green, you had a comment?
Yeah, I mean, just think about the youth in previous generations. George Washington, 23 at the Battle of the Monongahela. You think of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, 26 when he preaches that famous sermon. Nathan Hale.
Okay, I'm sorry, man. Dietrich Bonhoeffer. He invoked Dietrich Bonhoeffer. This is such a fascinating subject to me because I'm sure everybody knows I've been working on this book about Dietrich Bonhoeffer and World War II and the church and in Germany and stuff, and how they capitulated to Hitler and how they were used by him and all that other stuff. I find it super interesting every time an evangelical talks about Dietrich Bonhoeffer. If you don't know who he is, just 30-second review. The Protestant church in Germany in the 1920s and 30s was predominantly Lutheran, and it was also like partially Reformed church. So Reformed church is like kind of it's like a Calvinist. They believe in predetermination and everything else. Anyway, oh my God, I suck. I suck at this game. Anyway, Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a Lutheran, die-hard believer. Every scholar from the period tells me that he was morally complicated, as everybody else was from that time. But he was one of like 17 pastors or something out of 18,000 who were who were opposing Hitler's regime in the name of the church because he wanted to save Jews. Every other one that was like fighting Hitler's effect on the church was doing it because he wanted to, or because they wanted to stop Hitler's effect on the church. That simple. It wasn't about Jews, saving Jews or whatever. So anyway, Dietrich Bonhoeffer was he was a good person, generally, pretty good person, fought for the right things and everything. But the weird thing about this is that evangelicals have taken him on as like a mascot. He's the patron saint of abortion, believe it or not. Again, I did so much research into this recently. It's crazy. Let me just kind of give you guys some of my notes on Dietrich Bonhoeffer and why he's the patron saint of abortion. Let me pull up my notes here for this. After World War II, Pope Pius XII, who was the Pope through World War II, made deals with Hitler to keep the Catholic Church in a position of power in the country and stuff, and agreed to swear an oath of loyalty to Hitler and everything. He was a terrible person. Anyway, in the 50s, after World War II, he comes out and he says, treatment of children with abortion, like the whole abortion issue, is the same as the treatment of Jews. It's a silent Holocaust. That's what the Pope said. Now, modern day evangelicals took that and ran with it and found an excuse to invoke Bonhoeffer in this discussion and said, Bonhoeffer is really most famous for coming up with ethical, moral, religious justifications for murdering somebody, fascinatingly. And I'm sure now you can start seeing why he's like the patron saint of evangelicals, right? His justification to assassinate Hitler basically went like this. If you're in a car with somebody and they're about to plow into 100 people, you have a moral obligation to grab the wheel and yank it off the road. And God would not blame you if that person died, or if you and that person died, or whatever. You are doing the moral thing, trying to save the 100 people. So one of the big proponents or whatever of this whole Bonhoeffer thing is a guy named Eric Metaxas. God, that guy is something else. Seriously. He wrote this book called Bonhoeffer, and the whole book is just lies. It's lie after lie after lie, all of it. Scholars in this field, like Victoria Barnett, for example, and I don't know, the guy that wrote this book, Stephen R. Haynes, let me think for a second, Doris Bergen. I'm trying to think of some of the people that I've read recently. Richard J. Evans, those types of people said that the book Bonhoeffer is just silly. It's silly. It's a rewrite of history. It's not realistic at all. And he got some really obvious things wrong in this book about Bonhoeffer, really obvious. Like, for example, this purports to be the definitive biography on Bonhoeffer. Personally, I prefer to, if I'm looking for a Bonhoeffer biography, I prefer to go with what the scholars go with, which is the 1,000-page biography written by Bonhoeffer's best friend in the 1960s. But okay, I guess Eric Metaxas could be his biographer or whatever. But let me just show you something, just an example of who Eric Metaxas is. He's one of these people, on Flashpoint. He's close friends with them. He's on Flashpoint frequently, okay? This is Eric Metaxas. Now listen to this.
Hitler was elected. I mean, you can manipulate, you can win over, you can brainwash enough people. That's the scary things. Our founders understood that.
That's right. At least I was going to say Hitler was elected. Biden had to steal the election, but Hitler was actually elected.
Right.
That's the difference between Biden and Hitler. Only one I can think of.
Except Hitler wasn't elected. And I get to thinking to myself, okay, one mistake. I make mistakes all the time, right? Not that big of a deal. Except he said the exact same thing in his book. This is not the first time that he said Hitler was elected, and it was not the last either. Why is he saying this? Is he did he say it once and then just feel like he absolutely must lie about it moving forward because he didn't want anyone to think he was wrong that one time? I don't understand. That's the kind of thing that you'll find in this dude's book. It's trash. Complete trash. Anyway, if you want a real biography of Bonhoeffer, Eberhard Bethge wrote Bonhoeffer, a biography or something like that. I don't remember what it was titled. Victoria J. Barnett translated it to English in the 70s and updated it with a whole bunch of new information. Back to my notes here. Let me just read what I've got written down here. Bonhoeffer has been used as what's the word I'm looking for? A defense just a defense against physician-assisted suicide for people who are suffering terribly, who have terminal cancer, and they're gonna die in the next 3 months. and the next 3 months are just going to be endless suffering for no reason. You know, I'm actually in favor of physician-assisted suicide in case like that. Well, Bonhoeffer has been used to demonize that, and they've called it eugenics. It's a eugenics program. It's not. It's not even a little bit eugenics. And one of the key differences is bodily autonomy, if nothing else. People make decisions for themselves. In the eugenics program or in the Holocaust, people didn't get to make those decisions for themselves. Anyway, Bonhoeffer's been used to justify a belief in intelligent design. By the way, he never spoke on like any of this stuff. Let's see, what else? Eric Metaxas has raised the question while invoking Bonhoeffer. When does the church have a responsibility to stop encroachment of state power? That's a reasonable question, I suppose, and it is one that Bonhoeffer addressed. Except Eric Metaxas believes now is the time for the church to impose its will on the state, because back in 2012, when he wrote this book, he believed that the state was forcing the church to accept things that it shouldn't have to accept, like gay marriage and abortion rights and, I don't know, other things like that. Except the church doesn't have to accept any of that. Do your thing. Go nuts. No one is trying to force that on you. He's invoking Bonhoeffer as a justification to impose his will on everybody else, and it's straight up disgusting. Like, really disgusting stuff. Anyway, yeah, Eric Metaxas is just shameless. Oh my God, I missed my rupee. That sucks. Another note that I have here, Eric Metaxas said, and I'm quoting, "Obama is Hitler." Bonhoeffer was used by Eric Metaxas to justify violence against Obama, against gay people, and against abortion doctors. You have a responsibility to yank that wheel, right? If you yank the wheel to take out an abortion doctor, how many lives have you saved? That's the idea going on in this guy's head. Yeah, he talked about the war on Christmas and Hobby Lobby and how Hobby Lobby is being terribly mistreated because they have to pay for people's health care. Oh my God, it's such a joke, dude. And he says that Bonhoeffer would be horrified by it. Bonhoeffer's nephew, Dunyani, the son of Bonhoeffer's brother-in-law, who he got like arrested with and went to jail with and the whole nine yards. They worked together in this underground. Dunyani's son said that that Bonhoeffer would never be okay with intolerance in the name of religion. That is what Bonhoeffer was fighting. Intolerance in the name of religion. Are you serious right now? Jesus Christ. Some examples of intolerance in the name of religion that this author, Stephen R. Haynes, gave in his book was the Muslim ban. Let's see. International Bonhoeffer Society released a statement on that. They announced that society members from Western countries felt called to raise their voices for peace and justice against aggressive nationalism and discrimination. And they have a grave concern that the rise of violent rhetoric is going to lead to something ugly. And they said that we should defend and protect the LGBT community, the Muslim community, poor people, and immigrants, and others, etc. I have here. So anyway, Eric Metaxas, good friend to all these fine-looking gentlemen on Flashpoint here, just straight up lies all the time and invokes Bonhoeffer like Rick Green is doing here, and it's so infuriating you don't even know. I'm going to be covering some of the most egregious, disgusting uses of Bonhoeffer's name in my upcoming book. OwenMorgan.com should be in the description. Not released yet, but it'll be on Amazon pretty soon, so keep a lookout for it. I think I'm going to name it. You know what? I was going to name it. I came up with a name for it. What was the new name? I was going to name it The Church in Chains, and then I changed it. Hang on. What did I change it to? It was, outline. Yeah, it's in my outline. Denazifying the Church, How German Christians Purged Hitler's Influence. But I'm not even sure I want to name it that, because it's about more than just denazification. That's like an aspect of the story. This is like the last few chapters. But anyway, yeah, keep a lookout for it either way. All right, let's keep listening to these poor fools.
I think that's what we just saw, whether it be the grandson or all of those people that are at the campus.
Rick Green, you had a comment?
Yeah, I mean, just think about the youth in previous generations Liberations. George Washington, 23 at the Battle of the Monongahela. You think of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, 26 when
He was very young.
preaches that famous sermon. Nathan.
Which famous sermons is he talking about? Dietrich Bonhoeffer preached like lots of sermons. He wasn't even famous for preaching sermons. He's famous for seeding churches that were oppositional to Hitler and teaching people like a seminary leader or whatever. I'm not sure what he's even talking about here. He's talking about his letters and papers from prison. He's talking about his sermon about cheap grace versus costly grace. I mean, what's he talking about? I don't understand. Is he just saying words to sound like he knows what he's talking about? Is that what he's doing right now?
Hale, 21 years old. I'm telling you, tip of the spear is coming from these youth. And as you guys know, I mean, we're watching these kids it's not just a fad. In other words, they're not just doing this because it's popular. They are sharp, they're articulate, they're passionate, they understand the principles of liberty. We've seen it at Patriot Academy for the last few years. We've seen it coming. And I'm telling you, it's a remnant that God is raising up, and they're capable of leading even in their 20s. So get ready, because they're going to start taking back this country, even running for office. We've got kids that have gotten elected at 21 years old to the state legislature, into judicial positions in their.
Oh my God, don't tell me that. Yeah, kids are not like leaning Republican. They're just not. He can say they are all he wants. It does not make it true.
20s is really exciting to see what God's doing. And again, it's not just, it's not just youthful exuberance. It's actually, no kidding, it's a wisdom that God is giving to some of these young people to lead us out of this malaise that we've been in.
Yeah, it's very encouraging and very encouraging indeed. All right, let me show you this. Amir Ghalib, a Democrat, is the first. Now, listen to what I just said. A Democrat, the first Arab American, first Yemeni Muslim mayor of Hamtramck.
Oh, no, not a Muslim mayor. Don't tell me that.
Which sounds like the beginning of a joke. But Hamtramck.
It does?
Which is the highest percentage of immigrants among cities in Metro Detroit, Michigan. He won his election by 68%.
Wow, that's a really big margin. You don't see that normally in politics today. Let me guess, they're going to claim it was stolen, right?
Huge for Trump. Let me explain what he's doing. He's actually endorsing President Trump.
What?
Look at this.
A Muslim American is endorsing Donald Trump as a mayor? Okay.
This is what he wrote. Let me be clear. Our expectations are realistic. President Trump and I may not agree on everything, but I know he's a man of principles.
Are we talking about the same person?
Though it's looking good, he may or may not win the election, be the 47th president, but I believe he's the right choice for this critical time. I'll not regret my decision no matter what the outcome would be, and I'm ready to face the consequences. For this and for many other reasons, I announce my support and endorsement for the former and hopefully next President of the United States, Donald Trump. Now let the caravan begin its journey. It's just the starting point. That's pretty, Mike, that's pretty outstanding to get, talk about crossing the lines here. I mean, to get a Democrat Muslim to come along, that's kind of a big deal.
Right.
Yeah, this is what Trump's all about. It's all about image. Again, it was all about image in World War II also. Hitler had this thing where he liked to lie about, crowd sizes too. And he liked to put on big shows of strength by sending out paramilitary groups. Like he'd get the brown shirts out there, his little, like his Proud Boys, basically. He'd get his Proud Boys out there marching, and he'd get another little paramilitary group, kind of like the Proud Boys, that were veterans, like the 3%ers, I suppose. They were called the Iron Helmets, I believe. Or was it the Steel Helmets? I'm sorry, it's the Steel Helmets. I was thinking the Iron Front. What are the Steel Helmets? Just want to make sure this is right. It'd be embarrassing if it wasn't. Yeah, they were the Steel Helmets because they were veterans from World War I, and that's the style of helmet they had. What is the Iron Front? Just want to, yeah, okay. God, I'm confused. Iron Front was the paramilitary group of the Social Democrats, the left-leaning political party opposed to Hitler. And their logo was 3 arrows, famously. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Point is that Hitler loved doing this whole, show of force thing. It's like his whole thing. Oop.
Right. Well, that's, and I've been seeing that for the last year. As you know, when I was just at the Democrat convention, I went there and did my stunt, shaving my mustache off and all that. But that was actually to get the world's attention, or at least the country's attention.
No, it wasn't. I watched the videos that he released ahead of time. He released them to a private channel, a private like video network or whatever, to his subscribers only, basically, and said he was going to the DNC in disguise. He didn't want anybody to know who he was. So he put on glasses and a hat and shaved the mustache. And the moment the dude opened his mouth, everybody knew. It was obvious.
For the following day, with our great Mayor Rudy Giuliani and I interviewed over 100 Democrats. And this was mostly blacks, Hispanics, and there might have been some Muslim there. I don't know, but they had all voted for Biden, and they were all switching to Donald Trump.
Again, this is all these people have. They don't have support, so they have to pretend that they have support. That's what they get. Trump is not popular. He's not, okay? The people that are voting for Trump, by and large, are doing it because they've always voted Republican. Their parents voted Republican. They vote Republican. They grew up in a Republican household. That's it. They're just kind of going to the ballots and doing it. The percentage of, to be fair, that kind of group of people that just go out there and vote the same way as their parents, that exists on the left also. But the subset of people that support Trump because they like the guy is really, really tiny, especially like comparatively. It's almost nobody. Well, it's not almost nobody. I'd say 20% is my guess of the country. 20%.
And we asked them why. And what came out of their mouth was so powerful. One gal was 25 years old. She said, because quite simply, Biden lied to me. I didn't get my student loans paid for. They were all.
Oh, yeah. And, Trump is going to do that for you, you see, because he said he wants to pay off student loans, right? Of course not. That doesn't even make any sense, what he just said. That's not like a reason. What are you talking about?
On to one Democrat said, it's like being in a bad relationship, in a volatile relationship, and you just keep going back to it. An abusive relationship. That's what he was calling the Democrat Party. And
yeah, it's the Democrats like that. Okay.
And they all agreed in the room. It was very powerful. So this doesn't surprise me, but it's happening everywhere. And that's why it doesn't surprise me, because like I said it earlier, everyone's eyes are getting open and open more each day.
Like, this is just fictitious. Trump is losing support right now, if for no other reason than because Kamala Harris is gaining support. She's getting more popular as time goes on.
To what's really going on and to how we can save our country.
What do you think, Pastor Hank? You agree with that? People's eyes being open?
Yeah, well, I think in the words of President Trump, this is huge. And I think the reason being is...
Like, everyone's completely stone-faced. Nobody found that funny, Hank. Please stop doing it.
Wasn't that in Michigan, Hamtramck? Was that in Michigan, Pastor Gene?
Hamtramck?
Okay, I think this is significant because I think what it is, and I really think it's coming down to, is I've been talking to people all over the place. It really isn't about, so to speak, politics or even watch this propaganda from the lying fake media. I think people are really looking at policy and who at this time can help their pocketbook, help their families, help their lives. They've suffered a lot. And I think that mayor represents the American heartbeat of, they know that President Trump is the guy that is talking policy. He's the guy that's already done it before.
What policy? What policy is Trump talking? I haven't heard literally any policy from Donald Trump. Literally none. What are you talking about? Donald Trump's policy, you know what it is? It's Project 2025. That's what he intends to do when he gets into office. But he's denying any connection to Project 2025. So, what's the policy? The answer is there is none. There is no policy. It has no interests except for culture war issues. That's it.
But I think what's also key about it being in Michigan is think about it, the labor unions that are up there. I think this is huge. And I think it's also a reflection of where our country is going to go when it really comes down to who are they going to put a check mark by at the ballot box.
No, it's so true. Rick, you had a comment before I move on?
Well, I think it's so important for Christians to recognize and understand that politics does make strange bedfellows, and we should not in any way at the idea of getting people that don't share all of our values to join us for particular political fights. As an example, when I was in law school a long time ago, I had a Muslim.
Oh, yeah. This guy is in law school and became a judge in Texas. And he ran for the position of judge again, some kind, I don't know, federal judge maybe. Anyway, I don't remember what it was, but he lost because his 7 other opponents, like 6 of them dropped out and endorsed the 7th. And then he sued them. He sued his opponents for what? Who knows? For endorsing the other guy? I didn't know you could do that. Well, it turns out you can't, and he knew you couldn't because he was a judge. He's just like trying to make people's lives miserable is all.
Friend in one of my classes that pulled me aside and he said, Rick, you Christians, you don't recognize the fact that we are also pro-life, that we are also, for a lot of the same things in policy that you are for. And you might recognize, remember, I guess it was probably last year that one of the school districts, I can't remember if it was Minnesota or Michigan, that had a high Muslim population. And the Muslims were actually protesting at the school because of the transgender agenda and the sexualization of the children. So I think
nobody is sexualizing children except for priests. Okay, we need to keep an eye on the priests. Nobody, who the hell would be doing that anyway? It's not happening in schools or whatever. It's not happening in bathrooms. But you know who is trying to indoctrinate children? These people. These people are. One of them has even created a comic for children about loving Trump. Really.
Part of what's happening here is that the Muslim communities in America are recognizing that the Democrats are pro-abortion, which is against their faith. They are pro-transgender. They are pro-sexual.
Now, hang on a second. Muslims are anti-abortion? I don't think that's right. No, it's not. Let me just double check here. Muslim Americans might be, but Islam is not anti-abortion. Muslim Americans. I was looking for statistics on this, but they're not going to be easy to find, I don't think. I have something on NPR about it, but whatever. Anyway, the point is that he's just full of shit. Oh, yeah, here we go. 56% of Muslim Americans think abortion should be legal. There you go. What percentage of the U.S. thinks abortion should be legal? I think it's actually pretty high, just general United States. See, Gallup isn't great, but it'll do, I suppose. Only 12% of the United States thinks that abortion should be illegal in all cases. 50% think it should be legal, at least in some cases, and 35% think it should be legal in all cases. Abortion is a losing issue for everybody. For the Republicans. Now, that being said, it doesn't seem like Muslims are like they're not like an unusual category or whatever here. I mean, they're just roughly the same as everybody else, right?
Sexualization of children, all of that against their faith and the tenets of their particular faith. And they're saying enough is enough. We will team up with whoever will team up with us to stop this happening to our children and to our...
Dude, what is he talking about? He thinks that he's getting Muslims on his side to vote for Trump? What?
Community. So that's a good thing. We should team up with them on this. It's no different than, and I'm not at all, comparing them to Stalin, but we won the war by teaming up.
I mean, yes, he is. He's comparing them to Stalin.
With Stalin to defeat, the Nazis.
Sure.
We have to recognize that Muslims that agree with us on these values, we want them to vote for Donald Trump. We want to team up with them.
Dude, are you kidding me? The dude literally compared Muslims to Stalin. Oh, my God.
On this, and it's the same for anyone of any faith. If you want liberty and you want freedom of speech and you want freedom of assembly and you want to protect life and you want to stop the sexualization of children, you need to vote for Donald Trump this year.
Yeah, but that's not what Republicans stand for. You can claim you're in favor of free speech all you want, but these people are not in favor of free speech. They're not. These people are madly in love with censorship at all costs, unless they're the ones being censored. But censorship is, if you believe in freedom of speech, then it applies to everybody across the board always. It shouldn't just be like Republicans that get the benefits or Democrats. It's everyone.
There you go. We've said a long time now, it's time for just the body of Christ. If we could come together, look at what we could have. But listen, you're right, Rick, when we're able to reach across lines that maybe we don't agree with, it's like there's this fear that somehow you're less of a believer if you go, well, yeah, right. What he said, and that's just not the case.
Hey, do you not have the best mechanic in town work on your car unless they go to your church and agree with everything that you believe in the tenets of your faith? Do you not tell the surgeon that is scheduled to do the surgery on you, nope, can't do it because, you don't speak in tongues or you don't believe in the, pre-trib or post? Of course not.
Sure.
Oh, so you're saying that like people from like outside of your church can kind of have value and be intelligent also? Interesting. Didn't expect that from them.
And it's the same in politics. Absolutely.
Hey, Gene, I hate to bring it up here, but bringing up the Nazis, I want everyone to know. No.
Did someone bring up the Nazis? Who brought up Nazis? Oh, yeah. Okay. I guess Rick Green did when he said Stalin or whatever. Okay. Go on. What about Nazis, Mike?
Pre-trib.
You going to shout out your stupid pillows for $14.88 again? Is that what it is?
Of course not.
Sure,
and
sure.
It's the same in politics. Absolutely.
Hey, Gene, I hate to bring it up here, but bringing up the Nazis, I want everyone to know, no, I am not a Nazi. This was
he's addressing it.
An attack over the weekend on MyPillow.
All right, so let's talk. Since you brought it up, Mike, let's talk about 1488 and all this stuff.
Oh my God, he brought it up. I love it. I'm writing this down because I'm going to hit this later. Let's see, 14 minutes. Mike Lindell says he's most definitely not a Nazi. Okay, go on.
Tell us what's been going on with that.
Yeah, we used a bunch of price points, $29.88.
No, you did not. You used $29.99, $49.99, and then $14.88 out of absolutely nowhere.
$19.88, $18.88, $14.88, and $9.88. We kind of like Walmart does when they have a sale on a sale, right? That 88. Well, here.
No, that's false. In fact, let me just pull it up again so that we all have it clear in our minds what Mike Lindell was shouting out. Where did I put it? Here it is. MyPillow's advertisement. $49.98. $29.99, $14.88. Where'd the 88 come from anyway? You know that there was a psychology study to figure out what the best price is for certain things. There's a big, long history to this. I don't feel like getting into the whole study, but basically somebody found out that like if you list something as blah.99, like $10.99, then it'll sell better than $11. And it sells better by like a lot. That's why stores do that. It's like 20% increase in sales or something because of that. So anyway, what does 88 have to do with anything? He's just like lying.
We put the campaign out there. Actually, we done it a couple weeks ago, but we get it out there on social media and stuff on Thursday and Friday. Here I get a call from all the media around the country and the world, all the way to the Daily Mail saying, what are you, a Nazi? 88 stands for Hitler and 14 for something else. And they put the words together. I'm going, who comes up with this stuff? I said,
Nazis came up with this. Nazis did. Nazis said 1488 is a dog whistle, and we'll know that when you use 1488, you're calling out to us. They even came out with the 14 words. It's not even a Nazi saying. I think it's a white supremacist neo-Nazi saying that was not like originally invented by Hitler, but it's people who really like Hitler that came up with this whole thing. Yeah, dog whistle. He knows this. You can't convince me he doesn't know this. So he's going the old, it was an accident route. Okay, interesting. I thought for sure he's going to say it was just some random person in my something or other that was fired afterward. You know, the old Ted Cruz route. Why are you liking porn on Twitter? Oh, it was somebody in my office. Or the Jesse Lee Peterson route, I suppose.
Because their CEO wants to go to paper ballots hand counted. It's as simple as that, Gene. There's no other logical reason that they would go this. This is the most nonsensical thing. And then some media called me, are you going to apologize and take it down? I said, no, I'm going to double down. The sales are on. $29.88, $19.88, $14.88. Promo code Flashpoint, by the way. Can I?
That's not the promo code he used. Oh my God, dude, I'm getting bodied by this little caterpillar thing. He used R277, a promo code of a bill in Utah about school segregation, about racial segregation in schools. Did he ever explain that one?
Say that, Gene?
No, you can't. Okay.
But it's just so crazy what they do to me and what they do to MyPillow.
Such a victim. He invented advanced pillow technology, okay? This guy invented pillow technology. We didn't have pillow technology before Mike. And people are just attacking him for being a Nazi. The shame, huh?
This isn't about Donald Trump. He's actually running. He's going to win. And before they'd attack me because Mike wants to overturn the 2020 election. No, I want to take the 2020 election and learn everything we have in the last almost 4 years now and secure and fix our election platforms. We have the worst.
But that's not what he wants to do. If he wanted to actually fix the election platforms, that'd be one thing. But what he's trying to do is not going to fix them. It's going to make them dramatically worse. How do you think we tell if undocumented immigrants are like registering to vote or whatever? People that are not legally allowed to register. How do you think we tell if they're voting or registering or whatever? If somebody gets a driver's license with like their green card or whatever, they're allowed to have a license. But until they're a U.S. citizen, they cannot vote in federal elections. How do you think we tell if they've registered to vote or voted illegally with machines, with computers? You think there's some poor fool sitting there cross-checking the book full of green card holders and comparing it to the book full of voters? We use computers for this, Mike. Oh, my God.
Worst in the world, 132 countries do not use machines anymore. They've outlawed them.
Yeah, that's just complete nonsense. You're just making things up.
Over 100 countries have banned early voting and mail-in voting. This is what it's all about. Whatever happens in this
he's just full of shit.
Election, whatever gets us to the point that we have the best election platforms in the world is what the United States needs to stand for, not the worst elections in the world, because that's why this election is even more important than anything. Donald Trump wants to get to same-day voting, paper ballots, and counted. I told him it's going to be a lot harder, even if he gets in, than he thinks, because I've been fighting these companies for 3.5, 4 years.
Well, but we are making headway, which is we're going to celebrate those wins. Look at this. C.J. Pearson writes, Georgia State Elections Board just issued a ruling required hand counting of all ballots this November before.
Wait, is this the same elections board that is conspiring with Trump right now? Like Trump's campaign was hacked and we got a bunch of his emails. And it turns out that the Trump campaign was working with Georgia election officials to plan how they were going to and when and who would claim that the election was stolen and in what contexts. Is that the same one? I'm not sure. I live around the corner from Springfield, Ohio. I can assure you no pets are being eaten. It's such a small town. Hard to believe this nonsense, right? Oh, man, I bet your small town is dealing with so much. It's crazy. Well, the small town, since you live around the corner. I bet it's dealing with so much right now. I understand that Trump has been visiting Springfield, Ohio recently. I'm guessing to make amends for the stupid shit he brought up and started freaking people out over.
For the certification of the election. He says, it's an incredible victory for the integrity of elections. Incredibly proud of my home state today. This is a big win, especially in the state of Georgia, Mike.
Absolutely a huge win. And we're like a Hubble wheel that goes out to all over 300,000 people in all 50 states. That team down in Georgia, they have fought and fought and fought. This is a big win. Now, crooked Brad Rassenberger, the Secretary of State of Georgia, a Republican.
Oh, is he still the Secretary of State? That's good news. Yeah, he is a Republican. But I'm okay with him being the Secretary of State as a Republican because he seems honest. That's kind of my bar. If you're honest, I'm good with you.
The biggest blocker this country's ever seen. He right away, his office said, well, and then Chris Carr, the Attorney General of Georgia, said, well, we don't know if this is legal, and we don't know if we can do it in time. Well, I hate to tell him, but we've got the best hand counting system in the world now, right in Texas, where I was at a week ago, showing it to the world, and we have actually 2 different hand count systems.
Like, hand counting is so stupid. It is so inefficient, and you get things wrong way more often than feeding it into an automatic ballot counter. Why would we do it by hand like that? If a candidate has a question about something or is iffy about it or feels like there's something weird about it or whatever, they can request a recount. If it's within a certain percentage, it's paid for by the state. That's how it's always been. This isn't like a new rule I'm suggesting. That's how it is. And if they just want it recounted, they can pay for a recount themselves. And they can even they can pay for people to observe it and everything. Why does he want to make this whole system less efficient and less trustworthy? Do you know how many errors human beings make when counting things compared to machines? A lot.
That are amazing. They get done fast. I'd put them up against any machines where we got to wait a month now.
What?
A huge win, Gene, and people need to know this. You're not going to see this on Fox News. Fox News is, hey, breaking news. Georgia's actually going to do paper ballot hand counting, and by the way, everybody, this is very important because it's unlike Virginia. In Virginia, when they were bragging, we have paper ballots. Yeah, you have paper ballots, but they're not hand counted. They're counted by tabulators, which are, get it ready for it, everybody, are on the internet. They're online, everybody. So this is not a big win in Virginia, but it is a big win in Georgia for the country.
Yeah, let me show you this synopsis of the proposed rule of the State Election Board. The purpose of the rule is to ensure the secure, transparent, accurate counting lots requiring a systematic process where ballots are independently hand counted by the poll officers. The rule mandates detailed documentation, sealing, and certification, and with provisions for resolving inconsistencies and communicating any counting.
Again, I'm not even sure if this is I'm not sure if this is real, A, and B, I'm not sure if this is written by the election board that was conspiring with Trump. It may have been, for all I know. So take this with a grain of salt, is the point.
That outside of polling location for relevant parties. So it's a big win. Rick, when you see this, this is something we need to celebrate.
Man, celebrate it and replicate it, right? We want to see this all over the country. And to Mike's point, where he was where I am now in Fredericksburg, Texas. And hats off to Jim Riley and the Republican Party here that pushed for that and had that done here. We need to be doing that all over the nation. And you know what? It's not going to be an overnight victory nationally. Like Mike said, he's been at this 3.5 years pushing and pushing and pushing local teams at the local level all over the country. But we're starting to see the dam break a little bit. And I think this Georgia victory is going to really help us to motivate people across the country to follow suit.
All right.
I mean, it's one district, if this is even real, and it's one state. I seriously doubt that this is going to be carried out across the country. But either way, this makes elections less secure. Less secure is the point. This is so stupid. It's ridiculous. What are these people thinking? I'll tell you what they're thinking. They're thinking of a way to cheat. They're thinking of a way to twist things around to work to their benefit. Just absurd. And I'll tell you what, let me know what you think about it in the comments. Follow me over to my Unfiltered YouTube channel in the morning, 10:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. every Wednesday and Thursday on my Unfiltered channel. Link in the description. Don't forget, check out my book, all right? It'll be coming out soon on Amazon, owenmorgan.com. Links in the description. Patreon, too. I'd appreciate it.